Hi, I'm Deanna Springer.
And I'm Dana Casey with a fun Stitch It Sisters sewing project and time-saving tip by Nancy Zieman.
First, let's look at the project we're making today. We'll be making no-hassle napkins from 2 different fabrics, coordinates of our Riley Blake afternoon picnic design. We can make 4 napkins from just 1 yard of 2 different fabrics.
Sew napkins for brunch, dinner, or any time in between.
And the sewing couldn't be simpler with some simple square cutting and our easy sewing techniques. To make these no-hassle napkins, we'll start with cutting some squares. These are little cocktail napkins or little brunch napkins. You could make napkins any square, as long as there's any size, as long as you're cutting squares. So for today, we're cutting our squares 12.5 inches because our ruler is 12.5 inches. So if you have a 14.5 inch square ruler or a 16.5 inch square ruler, you could cut your napkins from that
Well,
size.
that would make it really fast and easy.
Right, and that's why we chose it for these samples. And dinner napkins, you'd cut 18.5 inch. So the first step in making the no-hassle napkins is to apply some Clover's 1/4 inch fusible tape. So around all 4 edges of each napkin, you'll take and press with an iron fusible tape, 1/4 inch from Clover.
Does this adhere to the fabric before you iron it to like hold it in place?
No, the heat of the iron will activate the glue and the tape will stay in place.
Very good.
Good question. So you'll apply the tape, fusible tape. By saying tape, it sounds like it's sticky, but it's
Right.
fusible tape. The heat of the iron activates the glue. You'll remove the paper backing and press over a 1/4 inch all the way around the napkin. The next step is doing a little marking. We need to make this miter, and this is Nancy Zieman's simple mitering technique. To make the miter, we'll measure in 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom. And we'll do that on all 4 corners. Repeat that marking technique. 1 inch down, 1 inch over on all 4 corners. To create the miter, we need to connect those 2. So with some Sewer's Fix-It tape, we'll connect those 2 markings. That 1 inch marking and that 1 inch marking.
So no ruler is needed to draw the line and connect them.
Right, the tape connects it. And then when we look from the right side, the tape edges are hanging out. We'll fold the fabric, aligning the top and the edge. It will create a triangle. This also creates a stitching line. The edge of the tape becomes our stitching line. We'll take this to the sewing machine, stitch all 4 corners, and then clip away the extra. When that is turned, and I like to use the Clover point-to-point turner and really get in there and get that point nice and sharp. So you'll insert the point-to-point turner and you'll have crisp corners. So when you've repeated this on all 4 corners, the next step will be go back to the ironing board and you'll be doing some pressing. So press all the way around, and what you're doing is kind of a mitered frame at this point. So I bet you can guess the next step.
I bet you we're going to put the backing in there.
Right. The contrasting fabric is going in next. So it's just the right size at 2 inches smaller than your background fabric. And then we're going to do some creative tucking. And you could use your fingers, and I'm just using the point-to-point turner because I have it handy. And it just naturally tucks right inside. The next step is a little bit of pinning to hold all the layers in place. And then we'll go to the sewing machine and we'll stitch. We've stitched our napkins with a straight stitch right along the edge of the fold. When you get to the corner, stop, pivot, and then continue stitching. So with just 1 stitch all the way around, you have a completed napkin. It couldn't be any easier than that.
So you only have to sew it once. You have no exposed edges.
Everything's caught between the layers, and you have a reversible napkin. And you can do some creative folding and have a really spectacular table. We hope you've enjoyed the Stitch It Sisters project. You'll find this pattern along with a limited number of project bundle boxes over at stitchitsisters.com.
Tune in again for another Stitch It Sisters sewing adventure.